Yo, it's your boy Not Just Suave, reporting live from the bus stop. Yo, this one's for y'all, the bus takers, who are the money makers.
Alright, y'all. Welcome to the bus stop. It's your host, Court Dog, whatever you want to call me. Alright, y'all. Welcome to the bus stop.
Yo.
Welcome back to the bus stop. Today, I have a special guest, y'all. Man, this motherfucker is amazing. This man has performed with Wale. He was featured in the Washington Post. This man opened for Slick Rick, opened for Rakim. You feel me? He performed with Goldlink, on NPR, and now he's here at the bus stop chilling with Court Dog. This is my man, Marvel. Marvillousbeats, Martin. Hey. Can I get a round of applause? Oh, yeah. This right here, y'all, is the chill violinist.
Hey.
No other.
Hey.
All right, y'all. Man, I'm
Thank
really,
you. That was
really
an awesome intro. I appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Dope. I mean, that's how excited I am to have you here. You feel me?
Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah, I love what you do.
Thank you.
But anyway, man, so let's get right into it. You know, so what's your background? What's your family? What kind of family you from? Where you from? What's your background?
Oh, so my background is Jamaican. Both my parents, they was born in Jamaica. They both came to America, came to New York, came to the Bronx together.
Yeah.
And I was born in the Bronx. I grew up in New Rochelle, New York. You know, the Westchester, the only county that counts, you feel me? So, you know what I'm saying? For people who are not familiar with it, Westchester County got places like Yonkers and Mount Vernon, so they're responsible for DMX, responsible for the Locks.
Mary J. Blige.
The list goes on, honestly, though. So, you know, if you don't know, no. Other than that, you know, I just grew up with a family of 9 siblings. I'm the middle child, 2 older, 2 younger. 3 of my sisters, 1 brother. My younger brother, shout out to Len Lama, out of Lama. Fun fact, me and my brother had the same birthday, but we're not twins.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, I was in the sports too growing up. You know, I played football, played basketball, played soccer.
I know you played soccer.
Yeah, of course. That was my first sport. I played that from like 3 years old to like 14, and then I switched it up for football.
Okay.
New Rochelle's a big ass football school, so like the peer pressure kicked in. I was like,
I feel you. So when did you start playing violin?
All right, so I started playing violin when I was like 7 years old, and I started playing because my older sister Keisha, shout out to Keisha, she's closest in age out of all my siblings. Mm-hmm. But as my older sister at the time, I wanted to do like everything she did.
Right.
Like, if she wore glasses, I wanted to wear glasses. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
For real. So, my dad, I guess, got her to playing the violin. She was taking private lessons, and I thought it was cool. So I was like, "Yo, I want to try to do that joint too."
Oh wow.
And it was as simple as that.
Wow. So you didn't play in school or anything? Like, you know how to school, elementary school.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you started at home. You didn't start in school.
Nah, I started at home.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was before school was even a thing. Like, so when I got to school, you know, trying out for the little orchestras and stuff like that, like, you know, teacher was putting me at first chair, you know, stuff.
Oh,
like
wow.
That. My first solo was like as a 5th grader, you know what I'm saying, an orchestra, which was dope.
Wow.
And my private teacher at the time, she noticed that she even said it. She's like, I kind of got a natural knack for it.
Right.
So she was like, you know, he should keep playing. And I love playing. It was fun, you know. So I just generally thought the violin was cool.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you play any other instruments?
I dabbled with piano for a little while. I don't say like 2.5 years, but I actually didn't really like my teachers that much, for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, my violin teacher, she set a high bar for likability, like, in my head. So I was like, if they're not like Mary, shout out to Mary Barton. They're not like her. In my head, I think as a youth, I was like, if I don't get that vibe, I'm not gonna like them.
Right.
So, like, they weren't bad. They were extremely gifted, talented piano players.
Right.
But I wasn't getting along with them for real. So I only did it for like 2 years. Whereas violin, I took private lessons for like 8 years. 8 years straight.
Oh wow. Yeah, man. Wow. So your sister Did she ever like give you any lessons or pointers or?
Nah, not really.
She was like, "Stop trying to do everything I do. Stop trying to do everything I do."
Basically,
She like,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, but I think she had no problem with it, but it wasn't like I mean, I learned a lot from just watching anyway. So obviously, she was ahead of me for quite some time,
right?
and I just learned from watching how she was playing, how she was doing things, how she would practice.
Okay.
And I would get into it. I'm super like I see something, I learn it quick. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what's up. So you got the hip hop edge though. Like, I mean, of course you were like classically trained as far as violin though. But when did you start venturing off into like just like playing just like other forms, other styles? Like, once you got more comfortable, or
that's such a good question, because when I really think about it in my head, it almost doesn't sound believable, because it's like I remember dead ass one day just picking up my violin, like after not have playing like for like 5 years maybe. I took a break from playing when I went to college. So like I graduated from high school in 2009, and I didn't really start playing again until like 2015.
Oh wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then I remember picking up my violin, just like, and what inspired me was getting my first electric violin as a gift from my girlfriend, who's now my fiance. And that inspired me to pick it back up. And I was just messing around with it again. Like, yeah, I remember you used to play violin. I'm just playing on it. I think there's like a random song playing. I just tried to freestyle to it. First time I ever tried to do something like that. I was like, oh, this is easier than I thought it would be.
Right.
And I was like, I was surprised at myself how well I was able to just freestyle, like jazz with it.
Right.
And it surprised me. I was like, I didn't even know I could do it.
Wow.
So like, I kept messing with it, kept doing with it, kept messing around. I was like, oh, like I've never played off score, like not reading music.
Well, so could you after all that time of not playing, could you still read music?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And that surprised me too. I didn't realize like when you do an instrument like that at such a young age, those skills, that muscle, you build that early, it's gonna stick with you for a long time.
Right.
It was just like riding a bike, man. It's just like you get back
right
on, you get the
into
little rust off. You know what I'm saying? You probably can't wheelie as soon as you get back on it, but over some time it'll come back.
Wow.
So like that's how it felt. It was just getting the dust off. By my standard, I sounded like shit, but by the time after like 6 months, I feel like I was getting back to where I left off at.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I met you back in like 2018 or something while you were street performing. Like, like in my opinion, you have to have balls to just jump out there and start playing on the street. Like, what made you get into that?
Yeah. It's funny. I didn't see it that way. And I still don't really see it that way because I get it. Not to be like, not to be disrespectful to anybody that finds it hard. It's very, very hard. Like, I'm always nervous before I got out on the street, and it took for me to get through like 2 songs for me to settle down. So, with that said, I remember when I got this gift, the electric violin, and I just moved from New York, of course, not too long ago. I still had my boys. I still had this independent label that I'm still working on now,
right?
39th Records, and it was my little brother, Len Lama, Ari Lama, and my boy, my right hand, Jesse Scott. He's a rapper, songwriter too. And what we did was we experimented with doing a street show tour. The first time we ever did anything like that. So
in the DMV or in New York?
All down the East Coast.
Oh, all down. Wow.
Yeah. So we started back at home in New York. We street performed like in like Grand Central Station, just hitting different spots in the city. And we drove down through New Jersey into Philly. We was right there on Market Street in front of like the Hard Rock Cafe over there. We played there. Came down to Baltimore. Did Baltimore. Went to D.C. And then I think at that point, my boy Jesse, he had to go back for work, so he took a train to New York. Me and my brother kept going. We went to Richmond.
Wow.
We went to Raleigh in North Carolina.
Right.
We hit Atlanta.
Wow.
When we got to Atlanta. We was there in Atlanta at the same time as 2 Chainz was doing that trap house, the Pink Trap House.
Yeah.
We performed in front of the Pink Trap House. You know what I'm saying? And like that drum was lit. Like we had like this photographer we never met before. Just record this quick as like dope ass promo video of us. Like it was dope. It was a vibe. It was just like we're just spreading the brand. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my first experience doing anything street performing. Was that tour we just put together mad randomly.
Were y'all making good money or you?
Yeah, it was decent. It was more than enough to like pay for our little gas and like you know what I'm saying, food for sure. Yeah. It was a simple thing. It wasn't like we was paying like rent, but it was like the fact that like this trip was essentially free.
Right. It was
the experience. It was the branding. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it kicked off what I didn't know at the time was basically my whole career because that was my first experience doing it. So like, we never really did it again. It was that summer of like 2016 when that happened. And I literally didn't really go on the street and play again because I was I was studying architecture at the University of DC. At the
I was
time.
about to say, I was like, speaking of career, you have 2 degrees, right?
Yeah, I got 2 degrees.
Right. Okay. Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
speaking of career, let's backtrack. What are your degrees in? Architecture.
So my first degree is an associate's degree from the Westchester Community College back in Westchester, the only county that counts. And so that was in business administration and finance. So that's why I kind of got my base for understanding business. And I remember talking to the department head and asking him. I remember I was like, "Yo, should I go to college? I have to finish this bachelor's degree." My mom said I got to do that regardless. So I was like, "Should I do business or should I do something else?" And he's just like, "Yo, you could teach yourself the business. Like, go do something more like skillful and like professional."
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, I've been thinking about doing architecture because that's the only thing I feel like I pay attention to is like art, science, math, all
Right.
that stuff." And he was like, "Yo, do that." So I was like, "All right, bet." So once I had that decision, that summer, I remember I started applying to schools, and then also, I was doing a lot like with like the street a little bit, like I was getting in trouble, getting arrested and shit. So like, I was like, "You need to start applying to schools that are not in New York."
Right.
Fuck out of here.
Right.
So I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So like at the time, my sister, the same one who I followed playing violin, she was already down in D.C. She was going to American University at the time. So I was like, all right, let me apply to schools in D.C. because when it's out of state and it's somewhere where I already know somebody.
Right.
There. And I wasn't with her at the time, but my wife now, my fiance, I already knew she was out here too. We knew each other, but we wasn't together yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I had 2 reasons to like, let me just come out of D.C.
Right.
So I came out of D.C. and after the associate's degree, doing the bachelor's degree, and it was like my senior time. Back to your first question about the street performing. This is my senior year doing at UDC. About to get this architecture degree. It was a tough year because I had my little old 94 Geo that I was driving for a while I was out here in UDC, and something happened with my license and my insurance. I had to get rid of my car and all this shit like that.
Wow.
So my senior year, I didn't have a car at all. I was just stuck in it, like taking public
Train,
transit. You know what I'm saying?
bus,
All
right.
that. It was crazy because like I was on point though. Like I graduated at the top of my class regardless, which is real. And I remember I had an internship and it was dope. It was a black woman, design and build. Over in Greenbelt, she gave me a shot, dope as hell. But after the car situation, I couldn't keep going to these places to do the job. So I was in between jobs. So now I was like, damn, what am I gonna do for money? In the meantime, I was trying to get some bread. So I was like, all right, I remember this tour we did back in 2016 and how well it worked out. Let me just try and go out there by myself with my violin and my beats. I make beats.
Right.
See what happened.
Wow. You took a chance on yourself.
That's it. That's the only reason it happened. So I went out there. I was just like, yo, I literally have nothing to lose. I had this roommate that was sticking me with 2 months of rent because he was broke. I had no car, no job, just got fired. Like it was like, yo.
It was getting real. Shit was getting real.
It was now or never. Like, the red tape on the door, like eviction, like, you got this much time before your shit's on the sidewalk. Like, it was that real. Like,
wow.
You know what I'm saying? It was there. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
It was there. You know what I'm saying? So
he was like, fuck it.
I was like, no matter, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, in my mind, I ain't gonna lie to you. My only goal was like, no matter what, I just need to survive each day so I could finish my degree. Which is crazy to me.
Right.
Because that was the only thing I cared about at the time. I was like, yo, I came to DC for this one thing. All this time. I'm like, I'm not going to let these hurdles in my senior year stop me from finishing this. So I was like, nah, I'm going to keep pushing. So I would go to school with my violin. I had a big old Dookie speaker, way bigger than this. And I had my book bag with my architecture shit. And I would go to class, looking probably crazy. Like, what is Marv doing? He got all this stuff. But I'm still kicking ass in class. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was top of the class. So
wow.
It didn't matter to me. Because after class, I would get on the bus, go to Silver Spring or Friendship Heights or Chinatown, do what I got to do, hit my little quota, and then I go back to the crib. So it got to the point where I didn't go searching for another internship because I started looking at the money. I'm like, hold on a second. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm like, look, this is paying. I'm like, for the time, I'm like, it don't make no sense. Like, for me to go back, I got down so gritty with it. I had an Excel sheet where I was actually writing down, like, I'm dead ass. Like, I really had like Friendship Heights, Chinatown.
I'm about to say, did you do our neighborhood?
Exactly.
See how much money
so
he was
I could
getting?
see which one I was getting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So then I started tailoring my time to be like, oh, I know if I spend like 3 hours there, I could do that. Woo, woo. And then I'd have like the other side was like expenses. Like, all right, it's my rent. It's this and that, whatever. Food, shit like that. So I would just make sure like shit is making sense. Because I'm like, I want it to make sense. You know what I'm saying?
That's that business degree coming in.
Nah, for real. Like that little associate's degree, that little exposure to business, like I took that shit serious. Because the only reason I did that was because in the back of my mind, I always knew I almost somehow make all this shit work for music. Like, I always wanted to do music at the end of the day. Like, fuck architecture, fuck business. I want to do music.
But you got something to fall back on, though.
That's the important thing is. So, like, I do super appreciate that I have that. And, like, you know, shout out to my mom for really pushing me to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. Like, I'm good. I'm good now.
So obviously, it's been lucrative because you've been doing it for a few years.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been 5 years this February.
And you've been able to sustain yourself and
more.
Pay all my bills, be fucking comfortable, take care of family. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Doing something that you love and getting paid. Can't ask for anything better. Tune in to part 2 for the rest of this episode.